All right, so sorry that we have to have this in two parts, but in the last video that you hopefully just watched, in part one, I went over the overview of this assignment, purpose and focus, and I also went over development for audience. And so the gist of that, again, just to review, is you're going to take the issue that you researched and argued for in A2, and you're going to do a little bit more research to narrow that issue into a really specific problem that is simple enough and doable enough that you can write your own proposed solution to that problem. And you're going to propose that solution to a stakeholder. And this likely will not be the same stakeholder from your A2. It will be a stakeholder that, again, you can write an individualized proposal to, and you could conceivably, like hypothetically, send this proposal to that person for them to read. So that's how specific I want you to get with your audience. And on Wednesday, we'll talk a little bit more about how to appeal to your specific stakeholder audience for A3 within the genre of a proposal. But the main thing that I want to focus on right now is genre convention and organization. So specifically, the genre convention of a proposal is what I want to focus on, because the reason that CO 150 chooses a stakeholder proposal for A3 is because the goal is to give you as many different tools for as many different types of writing as possible. And a proposal is something that I think you should be able to use quite a bit in real life. You might write a business proposal, you might write a proposal for a grant, you might write a proposal to get money to do more research for something. So there's a lot of different ways that proposal writing can really play an important role in your life beyond CO 150. So the goal with this assignment is to help you become more familiar with that genre, the genre of a proposal. So I'm just going to go over kind of some of the things that you might want to include in your own proposal. So these are the things I'm requiring you to have in your A3. So the first thing I want you to have is I need you to have an introduction where your thesis is directly stated. We know right away who your stakeholder is and what you're proposing, right? Next, I want you to have a section that's either context or background or problem analysis. You can choose one of those titles or a different title that fulfills the same purpose, but you want basically a section that's going to go over kind of what this stakeholder would need to know about this issue. Like, here's the situation, essentially. And this is a great place for you to put in some of your research from your A2. This is not a researched argument, so you do not need to like copy and paste your entire A2 into this section. You can include some of your research and you can include some of your evidence, but it does not need to be as research heavy, because remember that the purpose of your A2 is to identify a problem and propose a solution. So definitely we want to know about kind of the background of like what this issue is, but we don't need to make that the main focus of this A3. The main focus is likely going to be your proposed plan and solution. So in this section, I would like you to, basically this is where you're going to show your proposal. So you'll lay out your plan for how you're going to solve the issue that you've just established. And you can have, this is where you might want to include things like a section on like the cost or the budget of like how much your proposed solution will cost. This also might be a place where you can include something with a timeline. So you might want to include like how long you think this project will take. While I am requiring you to have a plan and solution section, I am not requiring you to include the budget section or the timeline section. It's a recommendation, but not every single person's proposal might legwork for those sections. So if you are proposing a plan that is best explained with the timeline or is best explained by addressing things like budget and cost, I recommend that you include them, but not everyone's plans might be best suited for that, right? The fourth section that I'm requiring you to have is a section on limitations. So this is basically where you're going to include your counter argument. So in your A2, I recommended a counter argument. We spent a little bit of time discussing what a counter argument might look like. But I didn't require you to write a counter argument for your A2. For your A3, I am requiring you to write a counter argument because for the genre of a proposal, the goal is that your stakeholder is ultimately going to implement your plan. So if they're going to take serious, concrete action based on what you're writing, it's important that you establish any weak points because that will make your stakeholder more likely not to just accept your claim, but to actually implement your plan and do what you're asking them to do. So that's where you will include your counter argument, is in your limitations section. And finally, you should have a conclusion section for this paper. So this is essentially where you might put a call to action, a statement that really kind of reestablishes exigency and most importantly goes over why your proposal solves this issue, right? So you're not just summarizing what you've already written, you're reestablishing the connection of your solution to the problem that you've established, right? If you have questions on this, please email me. Also, I'll go over this more in a minute, but I have an example for you to read in the JTC, an example of a proposal that has sections that are similar to this. So I would refer to that example in terms of like how to format your paper so that it fits within the genre of a proposal. So for style and mechanics, essentially what I'm looking for is I want your tone and your voice to match the stakeholder that you're writing for. So that's pretty similar to A2, right? In A2, you didn't want to have a casual tone if you were writing to the governor of California, right? So that applies for your A3 as well. And also make sure, what I'll be looking for is just making sure that your paper is grammatically correct, spelling is correct, basically just that you didn't type this all out in one go and then not bother to proofread it. So that's what I'll be looking for as well. You get to decide what you want to do for font size, headings, basically like the design elements of your A3. That's all going to be up to you. You could write it in Comic Sans if you want. You could handwrite it. These are all options. But I encourage you to think about design elements in terms of what's going to be the most effective for your stakeholder to be persuaded to implement your plan, right? So think about like, what will your audience consider being like professional, persuasive? What is going to be the best kind of font size, design elements? What do you want to bold? What do you want to underline? Those are things you'll want to consider in terms of like what is going to be the most effective for your audience. On the first page of your paper, I do need you to have a header that just has your name, my name, the date, things like that, even though you wouldn't include this header in like your average proposal because this is also an assignment for this class. I need you to have a header. And then finally, I want you to include your works cited page. So that's just like with A2, it's going to be MLA citations. I want you to include in-text citations whenever you cite a source that is not from you. Anytime you're using information that you got from somewhere else, I would like you to use in-text citations. So definitely make sure you are doing that within your A3 as well. And finally, as I mentioned in my last video, this assignment will be due on Friday, April 24th at the end of the day. And earlier in that same week is when you will do your online workshop. So that's kind of the basic overview of A3. Obviously, I'm going to continue to talk about things like audience appeal and design elements and counter arguments and all of these kind of keystones of A3 over the next couple of weeks. But that's the general overview. And really, I really encourage you, well, not just encourage you, I'm requiring you to read these pages in the JTC. So first you're going to read a section on like writing to solve problems, so that will help you kind of get an idea of the genre of a proposal. And I would also like you to, again, you're going to read a little section on the proposal genre particularly, and then you're going to read an example of a proposal. And this example is called Proposal for Skate Parks Under Bridges. And that will be helpful for just giving you an idea of what a proposal looks like and what I'm looking for. If you would like to look at more examples of proposals, if you're still feeling a little bit like, oh, I don't really know like what Julia wants here, please email me. I have lots of examples. I would be more than happy to send you more examples to look at. But definitely read those two sections. If you don't have access to the JTC, I know some of us were expecting to get back onto campus and aren't able to, maybe you don't have your book with you, please email me. I can try and figure out a way to give you online access to an online version of the JTC. But it's kind of difficult to do, so please contact me as soon as possible so that I can work on getting that set up for you sooner rather than later, because we're going to be continually referring to the JTC for the rest of A3. And finally, please complete the A2 postscript and upload that to the Canvas assignment page. The A2 postscript is just going to have some questions that help you kind of reflect on what you feel like you did well, what you struggled with in regards to A2, which is actually going to help you with A3 because so much of what you did for A2 is going to carry over. All right, so that is what we have. That's your A3 assignment. As always, please email me if you have any questions. In the meantime, I will upload the next video about audience appeals on Wednesday for you to read, along with the homework that I would like you to do for Friday. So I'll upload those things on Wednesday. Email me if you have questions. I will do my best to get your A2s graded and returned to you in hopefully a little less than 2 weeks. I will keep you posted as I continue to do work on that. Yeah, I hope you all have a great Monday, and my email's always open. All right, talk to you all soon. Bye.